buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving headfirst into a story about AI and, well, a tech giant that might have just tripped over its own feet a little bit.
Oh, hey.
We are talking about Google.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
The king of search.
The king of search. You know them. You love them. You probably use them every single day.
Many times a day.
Many times a day.
Yeah.
But when it comes to AI-powered search, it kind of seems like they might have fumbled the ball a little bit.
Yeah, it is fascinating, right? Because we're not talking about, some small startup that got outmaneuvered by a bigger company. This is Google.
Right.
A company that, invented how we use the internet.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so you're saying that on paper, Google was like the perfect company to be leading this whole AI search revolution. Help me understand this.
On paper, they were the ideal company to do this.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth sort of, going back and looking at why that is.
Yeah.
So, first of all, imagine having the Google index as your training data set.
Oh my gosh.
Right, all the information on the web.
It's insane.
Constantly being updated. It's an AI's dream.
Wow.
To have that much information to train on. And then on top of that, Google invented the transformer model back in 2017.
The thing that powers ChatGPT.
The thing that powers ChatGPT and all the other, large language models. It's basically, revolutionized the way that these models can understand and generate text. And then, on top of that, Google has this almost monopoly on search. So they had this massive head start.
So knowing all of that, it's so crazy to me that they've kind of fallen behind. How did this happen? Where did they go wrong?
Yeah, well, this is where it gets really interesting because it seems like a series of missteps, almost like watching a slow-motion train wreck. And one key thing was that their entry into AI-powered search was actually surprisingly late.
Late? How could they be late? They had years to prepare.
I know, it's crazy. Right. But, it seems like maybe there was some internal bureaucracy and some strategic decisions that slowed them down.
Interesting.
And a big one was their API strategy.
OPIs. Okay, break that down for me a little bit because I know what an API is. I'm sure a lot of our listeners know what an API is. Maybe just a refresher.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So application programming interface. Basically, it's a set of rules that lets different software programs communicate.
Right.
Right. Think of it as a language that different apps use to talk to each other.
Got it.
So if you want to integrate some of Google's AI into your app, you would use their API.
Yeah.
Now, the problem was that Google's APIs for AI integration were notoriously difficult for developers to work with.
Wow.
They were very complex, a lot of documentation, really hard to get your head around. And so a lot of developers just got frustrated.
Oh, I see. So instead of being like, hey, come use our awesome AI, here are some simple tools to do it, it was more like they were saying, hey, come try to figure out this impossible puzzle.
Yeah, it was like IKEA instructions written in ancient Greek.
Right. And meanwhile, you've got, Anthropic and OpenAI over here saying, hey, it's super easy to use our stuff.
Exactly, yeah. So while Google was fiddling around with these complex APIs, companies like Perplexity and ChatGPT Search were just laser focused on what users actually wanted.
Yeah.
Which is, AI-powered search isn't just about raw power, it's about the user experience.
Right. Let's talk about those competitors a little bit. So what are Perplexity and ChatGPT Search doing that's so different? And why are people flocking to them?
Yeah, so I think both of them have capitalized on a really simple but powerful concept. Make AI search easy and enjoyable.
Oh.
Their interfaces are clean, intuitive. They've really integrated the AI into the search process seamlessly. You don't have to jump through a bunch of hoops.
So it's less about the tech itself and more about how it feels to use it.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. So, imagine you're researching a complex topic, like let's say quantum computing or something. With Perplexity, for example, it doesn't just give you a list of links. It'll actually summarize the key concepts for you right there in the search results.
What?
So you could save yourself some hours of reading.
That is slick.
Yeah.
It's like having an expert researcher working alongside you.
Exactly.
I could see why people would choose that.
Yeah.
So, this whole situation with Google, this feels like a classic business case study, like something you'd read about in a textbook. What are the big takeaways here?
I mean, it really is. And I think the biggest takeaway is that even giants can fall.
Yeah.
Right? They had all the advantages, but they missed a really crucial element, which is understanding and adapting to evolving user needs.
And this applies to any industry, right? Like, this is a lesson about agility and staying ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. If there's one thing you should take away from this whole conversation is that complacency is dangerous.
Yeah.
No matter how successful you are today, the landscape can change really quickly.
Right.
So you have to embrace new technologies, listen to your users, and be ready to adapt.
So here's a final thought for everyone listening to ponder. Imagine you're the CEO of Google right now.
Ooh.
What would your game plan be to regain that lead in AI-powered search? It's a tough question.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. What would you do? If you want to learn more about Perplexity and ChatGPT Search, by the way, we've got some links to some articles about them in the show notes.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah. And in our next deep dive, we'll be talking about something that's just as mind-blowing.
Uh-oh.
Robots.
Oh.
And the future of work.
Can't wait.
Don't miss it.